change is transformational, not transactional. Now, a lot of us are in this day-to-day activity, this transactions that we do every single day of our lives. All right? Anybody get into that mode? And we get so wrapped up in it. I'm going to talk about 2 ways to make your life more transformational. First, I'll tell you what I do. And I used to do this once a year. I now do it twice a year. At the end of the year, and I'll just talk about the big once-a-year one that I do. Once a year, we close our books on December 23rd. And December 24th, we observe Christmas. And on December 25th, I fly out someplace. Could be to the mountains to go skiing, or it could be down to the Caribbean to baste in the sun. I take this book with me, and I've been doing this since 1990. And this book has what I call the balance of life. I look at what's transpired in the last year, and I look at what's happening in the next year, and what do I want to achieve. I have 8 different segments of my life that I look at. My personal life, my social life, my business life, my financial, my health and wellness. What do I want my life to be over the next year? And I write down my goals, objectives, and my deliverables for every one of those. And I plan out my life. It transforms you. You think in terms of transformation as opposed to the daily transactions. The first of every month, no matter where I am in the world, I take out my little sheet and I write down, okay, what do I want to achieve this month? This is discipline. I know it's discipline, but I'll tell you, it changes your life. I can go back to that book and I look back at 1990, what my goals were. I can look at 1995, 2000, 2005, 2012. It's amazing how you move. And this is how you get to where you want to be. It's all about dreaming. Dreaming your life. There's another gentleman. Who's here from North Carolina? How many people we got from North Carolina? Okay. How many of you are familiar with High Point University? All right. Can you tell me a little bit about what you know about High Point? It's in High Point. Okay. Anybody else? Anybody else about High Point University? All right. Nido Gubain, thank you so much. What do you know about Nido?
I've heard him speak several times. Been over with a couple of meetings with him, and he is unbelievably a fascinating man.
He is unbelievably a fascinating man. I have been, like you, I've been very, very fortunate to spend a considerable amount of time with Nido. And unbelievable. He came to this country at the age of 17 with $50 in his pocket. And he wanted to make a difference. And with that, his father had died at a very young age, and his mother, who is still alive, is sort of his rock. And she's been his guidance. He is the chairman of the board for Lazy Boy. He was on the board at High Point University, and they asked him to take over as president. I believe it was 5 years ago. In that period of time, he looked at it and he said, all right, here I am in High Point, North Carolina. I've got to compete with Duke. I've got to compete with North Carolina University, NCU, all these colleges. What am I going to do? And plus, there was like 39 other private schools in North Carolina. What can I do to make this place really, really work? He set out a vision that he wanted to make this an incredible place like no other university had ever seen. He talks about when you do a transformation, you got to be into the details. I talked to somebody last night, and we were talking about it's all in the details. Let me tell you to the details that Nido gets to. Fountains. They have this fountain on campus. And he noticed as he was driving in every day that the fountains weren't quite level. One was higher than the other. So he calls maintenance and says the fountains aren't the way they should be. They should be at the level of the fence. And he says they look out of whack. All right? We need to make sure we get these fountains right. The other thing is they have this big, it's like an atrium in the middle of the campus. Okay? It's not covered though. And what they've decided to do is they play classical music throughout the campus. Why would you play classical music? Because it creates innovation and creativity. Listen to classical music. Put classical music on in your offices, and you will see ideas coming out of the woodwork. It's amazing. People start thinking creatively, innovatively, all with classical music. The other thing he did is every student on campus, and they don't pay extra for this, they have a steakhouse. And every student has the opportunity to go to the steakhouse once a week for dinner. Now, what they have to do is they've got to dress up in a jacket and a tie. And when they get to the steakhouse, there are all of the waiters, all the waitresses, the wine sommelier, excuse me, is designed to do training. So they have all these glasses in front of them, they have all the silverware in front of them, and they get an education. It's a steakhouse. So the gentleman will come over and say, tonight we're featuring such and such. This comes from this part of the cow. This is how it is cut. All right? These are the wines that we're offering tonight for anybody that's obviously legally of age. And so it's all about learning and growing continually. Why? Because he says these people are going to go out into the world and they need to know how to eat. They need to know how to handle that fork, how to handle that knife, what wines to order, what meat to order. They need to be educated. It's the rounded, holistic approach to education. If any of you have your sons and daughters choose to apply to High Point, they get an interview. The minute they walk through campus, there'll be a sign that says, "Welcome, Steve Smith. We're glad you decided to come and visit us." I mean, there's a sign, there's a parking spot, all of the details. It's all about the details. I just heard him the other day. He was talking about Dianne. He says, I never, ever do a presentation again where they serve potato chips. I won't do a presentation with, why? This gentleman's nodding. The noise and the distraction. He says the noise and the distraction is not only when they open up the potato chips, but he says, you know, it's the chewing of them too. You know, he says it's disruptive. When you're doing business, think about how you can be transformational. Move beyond the status quo.